Yeah, doing something. Welcome to the Fairfax Sports Report. Think pink. That is what you want to think about this week, guys. This is an action-packed show on the Fairfax Sports Report. I mentioned that Think Pink. All around the region, the girls' basketball teams have been wearing pink in support of breast cancer awareness. I'm wearing my pink tonight, doing our part here over at the Fairfax Sports Network. An action-packed show, like I said, we're going to start off with some swimming, guys. We're going to tell you all about the Northern Region's results in swimming and heading into that regional tournament. You're going to get to hear my personal apology to the Edison Eagles fans and to the basketball team. Most of you Eagles fans, I know that you're all tuning in tonight to see me eat my words, and you'll get that as promised later in the show. Before we get to all that and, of course, basketball action, I'm your host, BJ Kubaroulis, alongside of my co-hosts Paul Frummel and John Marcario. You're going to hear all of our expert commentary tonight, or commentary we think is expert, as we've been proven wrong here on the Fairfax Sports Report. Let's thank the show underwriters, the people, of course, that make this show possible. And when we talk about our underwriters, we're talking about CCI Screen Printing, 703-978-0257. And Quality Care Ford Service Center, servicing all makes and models at 703-383-6299. Now, guys, when you talk about this last week, of course, all of our fans that tune in weekly, they want to talk about basketball. But you got to give some love to the swimmers of the Northern Region, each of them competing in their Concord District tournaments, Liberty District, National, and Patriot. All the district tournaments went on this last week. Paul, you've got some results and some news from those tournaments.
Definitely. Well, starting with the Concord, we have a Rams sweep. Both the boys and the girls, Robinson won. Robinson boys finished with 433 points. And the girls finished with 586. In the Liberty, Jefferson took the boys' title with 568 points, while Langley took the girls' title with 406. The Patriot, another sweep for Lake Braddock, 584 for the boys, 437 for the girls. In the National, another sweep. Yorktown boys and girls took both titles, with the boys taking 365 points. And the girls taking 583.
A couple of repeat champions, as you see from our graphic, on Northern Region swimming. Paul, you've got some expertise on some of these Northern Region swimmers. I just want to throw a couple of names out there from Robinson boys' side. The Robinson boys have been dominant, even at the state meet for the last couple of years as well. The dominant Robinson Rams, led by Derek Bowie this year so far, and Derek's had just a great couple of times in the last couple of weeks. Also want to mention McLean's Cameron Gledhill from Australia, a kid that really tore it up, kind of new on the scene, moved in here this year and broke all of McLean's boys' high school records and is now making an impact in the local Northern Region pools.
And for Stonebridge and the Liberty, the girls finished third, but Stonebridge, real powerhouse, Suzanne Schwee, got 2 more district titles and 2 relay titles to add to her record, already a 2-time state champ as a junior. So she beat her own district record in the 100-yard butterfly and won the 100-yard backstroke, as well as the 200-yard medley relay and the 400-yard freestyle relay with her 3 other teammates.
And as Robinson's boys and girls are so dominant in the Concord, you have to say the same for Lake Braddock in the Patriot District. That used to be a crazy district when Robinson and Braddock both lived in that district. But right now, it's a clean sweep for Braddock in the Patriot District, John.
They won both the boys and girls. Very nice for them. They wanted actually going away. I mean, there wasn't really anybody extremely close to them at all. Talked to the coach. He just said it was a really big accomplishment. Their kids, they finished second last year to West Springfield. They didn't like that feeling too much. They just wanted to come back again. They're also a young team, so look out for them possibly in the future.
And speaking of teams to look out for, Langley's girls won their second Liberty District title in a row, and the Langley girls now completed 2 straight seasons undefeated in the regular season. That's at 19 right now in swim meets they've won consecutively in the regular season. Just want to let you folks know at home there, the Northern Region swim meet will be on the Fairfax Sports Network at some point. Check the website, www.fairfaxsportsnetwork.com, to find out where you can see the Northern Region swim meet, when and where it will be aired. All the local swimmers getting together at Oakmar Recreation Center this Saturday, and the Fairfax Sports Network will be there with Matt Fetters, our famed longtime analyst and former collegiate swimmer. So we're going to have all of our swimming experts there to call that Northern Region tournament, getting some help from Oakton's Phil Levine, who's going to be running that tournament at Oakmar. All right, guys, so we've talked about our swimmers, and good luck to our swimmers there at the next level. But let's move in to what drives this show and why people tune in during the wintertime. And of course, that's basketball. Let's show the folks at home what we think are the Elite Eight teams in the Northern Region, guys. Every week we pick our Elite Eight at the Connection newspapers, and if you have your local Connection, you'll already know that we've got girls. Edison, 32 votes. The hands-down favorite right now, Edison, has been a number one over all the weeks that we've been playing basketball in the Northern Region. They've been a complete unanimous decision every single week in and week out. Oakton's girls right there behind have been a unanimous number 2 the entire season. 28 votes for the Cougars. And the previous week, of course, as we mentioned, they were in second place. Not much has changed, as you see there in the far right column. West Springfield at 23 votes. They stay right there in the third place spot. Marshall's girls at 4th. And a tie for 5th between Westfield and South County. Lee and Madison. Madison moving down one after suffering its second loss in the district. And that's your Girls Connection newspapers Elite Eight. Guys, when you talk about the Elite Eight girls, I mean, Edison has been the hands-down favorite, John.
They're completely blowing away people. I say it every week. It seems like repetition. It's just truly not repetition. They just beat Mount Vernon last night by 37 points, another 30-plus point win. Aside from that loss to Bishop McNamara that they had in late December, they've won every single game by close to 30, if not over 30 points.
Okay, so it's been a complete lockdown for Edison all year. On our Connection newspapers Elite Eight poll, they've been right at the top the whole time. But that's not the same for the boys. Herndon has been at the top of our Elite Eight poll for the entire season, and that changes now, folks. Let's show you what we at the Connection newspapers believe are the Elite Eight boys team in the Northern Region. Looking at a new number 1, T.C. Williams climbs to the top of the poll with 31 votes. They've been almost a unanimous number 2 throughout the entire season, and they jump up, take over that spot from Herndon, who lost to Edison right there at number 3. Edison previously not ranked. They were ranked early in our season polls, and they've just come on and really earned that respect in the last couple of weeks, beating a pair of great teams, one of them in their own district. Wakefield not far behind with 18 votes, and there's a tie for 5th place between Westfield and South Lakes. Lake Braddock right there in the 7th spot, and a tie between 2 Liberty District teams, Madison and Woodson, with 2 votes, not garnering a whole lot of votes there at the bottom of our poll, but they are at the top of the Liberty District. So I guess the power looks like it's shifted in districts. It used to be Liberty District was your strongest. Concord had some teams there, but it was usually top-heavy with Herndon always being good. But it looks like the National District is starting to earn some respect, and T.C. Williams right now at the top of the district, they are the Patriot District's representative. John, looking at the Patriot District, why don't you show us who's sitting where in the Patriot District's boys' standings? Take it away.
T.C. Williams, they're going to be sitting at top in the district standings. They are an undefeated 11-0. 15-3 overall. They have a big game against number 2 Braddock in the district. They are 9-2, 14-5 overall. West Springfield Spartans, they're 3rd, 7-3 in district play. West Potomac is 4th, 5-6 in district play. South County, 4-7 in district play. Hayfield, Lee, and Annandale round out your bottom 3, all with 2 wins apiece.
And these standings are current as of January 31st. I want to let the folks at home know that your Elite Eight polls are done on a Tuesday morning, so those do not include Tuesday games. So if there was any upsets on Tuesday or anything shifted on Tuesday, that does not count in our Elite Eight poll, but our district standings are current and up to date. Speaking of the Patriot District, John, you mentioned Lake Braddock, TC. That will be our Fairfax Sports Network's Game of the Week this Friday. Ivan Thomas from T.C. Williams is going to be joining us in just a bit by phone, guys. So if you're sitting on your couch wondering what our expert comments mean, they might mean nothing compared to what Ivan Thomas has to say about the Northern Region. Those guys in the know, knowing who their competitors are. They break down game tape. I certainly don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Edison Herndon. You Edison Eagles fans, stay tuned. You're going to get my personal apology. All right, John, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, though. Let's talk a little bit about Lake Braddock. They had a great overtime victory last night.
You talked about the upset. They almost sustained a monumental upset to the Hayfield Hawks last night. They were up 11 in the 4th quarter at one point, came down to the wire, back and forth the final 2 minutes. They were down 2 with 30 seconds to go. Sophomore Mike Landon had a follow-up layup, offensive rebound, and the foul. He was money with the free throw, made the shot. Hayfield came down, had 3 cracks to win the game, couldn't make anything happen. 2-8 Hayfield Hawks almost pulled off the big upset, but Braddock won another game by a point.
And that's our game of the week. Lake Braddock will be taking on T.C. Williams. John, you've got a bit of some scoopage news for us on the Lake Braddock team and who they may not have in their lineup, and that's some breaking news, folks. So we're going to get to that when we get to our Lake Braddock T.C. Williams Game of the Week preview. Let's talk a little bit about West Springfield quickly, as Ivan Thomas will be joining us in just a minute. John, West Springfield, they're right there in the mix a little bit, aren't they?
West Springfield, I've been talking about it for a couple weeks. They have that gaudy 14-4 overall record, third place in the district at 7-3. They are 1-3 against teams in the Northern Region with the winning record. They've lost to Braddock twice, TC once. They beat Chantilly, but Chantilly hardly had any of their football players, so you got to beat the good teams, and they're just not doing it.
Well, speaking of good teams, folks, you just saw our Connection newspaper's Elite Eight. T.C. Williams jumps to the top of that Elite Eight in the Northern Region for boys above Herndon and Edison and Wakefield. T.C. Williams right at the top, and they look to be one of the strongest competitors coming out of the Northern Region in time for the state tournament. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, though, as we've got Coach Ivan Thomas joining us from T.C. Williams. He's going to bring us down to earth just a little bit, right, Coach?
Yeah, well, we're just trying to get better with each game.
Well, that's classic Coach right there, always trying to get better, and we know that. Coach, you've got some kids there at TC right now. You guys were in the tournament last year, and you ran into some pretty good teams and some good competitors. Do you think your team was able to learn from that experience, and what can they bring back from last year going into this next tournament time?
Most definitely. We ran into a very good Herndon team last year with Scotty Reynolds leading that team. We basically went throughout the region without losing to a Northern Region team, except for Herndon. Avenged our early loss against Edison to go into the regional tournament. But I have a core of those group of guys who played on that team, and so that's all they've been talking about is getting back to the Patriot to try to redeem that loss.
Well, Coach, you're 15-3 right now. I'm looking at your schedule earlier in the year on December 16th, 68-55 over the returning state champions, Booker T. Washington. That's got to give your kids a little bit of respect, but also a little bit of knowledge that they can compete at the state level, especially with those teams from the Beach and the Eastern Region area, which seem to give our Northern Region teams fits.
Well, definitely. We actually went down to their house and played them in a one-game tip-off tournament, and it was a great atmosphere. They play very physical. They play very tough, and we had to go in a hostile environment, and we were fortunate enough to come away with the win. So it definitely gave us a lot of confidence, and so we should be steady and ready to go when we enter regional play.
Coach, stepping a little bit aside from the regional play, you face Lake Braddock this weekend on Friday. If you win that game, I believe you claim the Patriot District title. What is your team going to have to do to beat Lake Braddock again? You beat them by 15 points early in the year. Mike Davis had a big game in that one with 14 blocks.
Well, what we have to do is continue to control the pace of the game. I think we legitimately play 10 to 11 guys every night. So without a doubt, we want to force the pace of the game so that we can play more guys. And I just don't think anybody's bench in the Northern Region is deeper than ours. So we have to just stick to that same game plan Friday night against Lake Braddock, and we should be successful.
Well, Coach, you mentioned that you guys are a very deep team, and I do want to mention a couple of names here. Mike Davis, obviously transferring in this year. He's got to be a great addition to what was already a strong team. Do you resent when people sometimes say that Mike Davis has come in and made this team what it is? You guys had some ballers like Glenn Andrews already. I know that kid can play.
Yeah, that's flat out correct. I mean, Glenn Andrews, Walter Smith, Evan Collier. We had a ton of guys that came in and that was on the team from last year.
Right. Mike
Davis, he's a great asset to us, and without a doubt, he makes us a stronger team. But we were a very good team without him. And so, I don't resent any of the comments. It is what it is. But our team knows what our goals are and what we're capable of. And we all know that we're basically 14 strong, and that we have legitimately 10 guys that can get the job done. You know, Mike Davis gets in foul trouble, not an issue.
Right.
Last night, he only played 2 quarters, and Annandale played us close the first game, you know, and it wasn't very close last night.
Well, Coach, you guys have not had it. It doesn't seem like you've had some close ones here. I mean, 104-47 over Annandale, and you said he played only 2 quarters. I think that gives people the idea that you are a deep team, like you have been mentioning, and that's not just talk. I mean, you guys do go deep. Do you think that's going to help you through the tournament? I mean, we've had a 26-year drought here in the Northern region for a state title, and you mentioned your goals earlier. I mean, every coach says we want to win a state title, but it seems like you guys are capable of it. Is that your goal? Well,
our goal is, speaking not just the coach, we want to get better each game. Every game we want to get better, and we legitimately want to be one of the top defensive teams around here. Mm-hmm. We feel like if we can hold teams to our certain defensive goal, whatever we set that night, then we can accomplish our goal. And so we just want to be steady on the defensive end, be able to control the tempo of the game, and play legitimately 10 guys every night, 10 to 11 guys, and we feel like we can be successful and make a good tournament run. I mean, we're not trying to embrace the history of Northern Virginia in terms of not having a state title. That's a lot of pressure.
Right.
And truthfully, I believe that, Herndon got maybe fell to it last year. That's a lot of pressure on one particular school or one particular team to do it. We're just trying to accomplish our defensive goal point total for the year based on every team that we play.
All right, Coach, we're just about to let you go, but one more question, and I got to ask you, can I mention the streak, and will you talk about the streak? And for those of us at home that don't know about the streak, Coach, what is the streak?
I don't know what streak.
All right, Coach. I figured that's what you'd say, Coach. It's a pleasure having you on. We appreciate your comments, and we'll be catching up with you this Friday for the Fairfax Sports Network's Game of the Week.
Well, we appreciate all the support you guys do for Northern Virginia basketball. Hopefully, we can continue to play well to get more respect.
Hey, Coach, we're about to give you a lot of respect right here on this show tonight. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Coach.
Have a good one.
Okay, thanks. All right, guys. The streak, T.C. Williams has gone undefeated in this region for the last 2 years during the regular season in their district, and they are untouched. They won't talk about it. They don't want to talk about it because once you start talking about it, that's when those things seem to fall apart. So I'll do that for them here on the Fairfax Sports Report. Something I do really well is kill streaks. Speaking of streaks, you Edison fans, I know you're still waiting to get at me, but before we get over to your district, let's show you quickly the Connection Newspaper's Elite 8 poll. We just talked with T.C. Williams coach Ivan Thomas, and we just want to show you where his boys have jumped to on that poll. If you see them right there at number 1, for the last couple of weeks, they've been at number 2, and they get almost a unanimous decision. A unanimous decision would have put them at 32 votes. Herndon not far behind, and there you see the Edison Eagles earning their respect, climbing to number 3. Let's move into the Concord District boys, Paul. Tell us about our Concord District boys as you see the district standings.
Well, Herndon is still at number 1, even though they fell to number 2 in the Connection Newspaper's top 8. They're number 1 in the district, 9-0 in the district, 15-2 overall. Westfield right behind them, that one loss to Herndon, 8-1 in the district, 14-4 overall. And then you get into kind of the middle of the pack here where you got Chantilly at 5-4, 9-9 overall. Robinson 5-5, 9-10 overall. And Oakton 4-5, 9-10 overall. Those 3 teams are going to be fighting for the higher seeds when the district tournament comes. And then you have Fairfax at 1-8, 1-18 overall. And Centerville with that loss to Fairfax drops to 1-9 and 8-11 overall.
All right, Paul, so let's move into Centerville briefly real quick. Why can't they beat a Concord team?
I'm not sure. They're a good team, definitely. 8-11 overall. I think they're even better than that. But when they get into the Concord district, their one win came against Fairfax earlier on in the year. Losing to Fairfax recently, they've played Robinson, Westfield, Herndon recently, and they averaged 21.25 points, point deficit. They have lost by 21.25 points during that time.
Wow.
And again, they were a good team, so I don't understand how this is happening. And I'm sure Coach Brian Doyle doesn't understand it either. One silver lining, obviously, is Quantrell Simmons scored 32 against Oakton this month, 22 against Westfield, 8 against Herndon. Again, double digits against Fairfax. So he's carrying the load, so to speak, but it just seems like they can't get over this hump. And when they face a Concord opponent, something happens.
Yep. All right, let's talk a little bit about some more Concord teams, though. Chantilly is slowly falling in the district standings. Austin Decker, though, has had quite the week for the Chargers.
I mentioned that middle of the pack. Chantilly was trying to get to that, to the Herndon Westfield status. They've fallen there to the middle of the pack with losses to Westfield and Herndon and losses to Robinson Wakefield recently. So, but yeah, definitely Austin Decker, he was the player of the game against Wakefield, 22 points in the last 2 games, and that may not seem like a lot, but he's also such a good defensive player. He's great on the boards. He's definitely an all-around player for them. Ben Wheeler really is their big scorer, obviously signed with Lafayette to play college ball there. Had 14 against Wakefield, 18 against Fairfax, and 11 against Robinson. So he's doing the scoring load, but still, losses to Westfield, Herndon, Robinson, and Wakefield, they're in that middle of the pack, and they have to pick it up before the district tournament comes around.
Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about Robinson and Oakton, John. They're battling right now to move up and down in that little scrum, as we saw in the middle of the district standings. Just want to mention a couple of guys from Oakton because I think they can make a late push. Justin Epperson, Donovan Myers. You've got a couple of guys over there that can really play, but you've got some good guard play at Oakton, and I've really liked what I've seen out of the Cougars. You look at a guy like Puccio, TJ Puccio, also a guy like Brett Lumen, just a great group of guards over there. I really like what I see out of Oakton. Can Robinson make a late push?
Robinson, their goal from day one has been to finish 3rd in the Concord. It's possible. Paul's going to talk a little bit about Ryan McPherson. The guy's a baller. He dropped 21 against Westfield. Wasn't quite enough. They're going to need contributions from McPherson. They're going to need contributions from Daniel. They're going to need contributions from Ryan Harbaugh. They're going to need contributions from everybody on that team to make a late push.
And I forgot to mention one guy from Oakton that's really done well this year, Bart Reese. Don't want to leave him out. He's really helped carry the load there as well. Westfield, what's going on with Westfield? They're winning games, Paul, but they're not really dismantling anyone.
Well, what we saw with the Robinson game recently is had a 6-point lead, between 3 and 10 points the entire game. Weren't in trouble of losing, but they never put Robinson away. I mentioned Ryan McPherson. Whenever he wanted to drive the lane, he was able to and scored. So that was defensive breakdowns were a problem for Westfield. Shot percentage was a problem for Westfield. They're winning. They got Mo Hubbard, and he's definitely a lights-out player. And again, 4-game win streak. They are winning, but they're not playing lights out. They're not finishing teams. And that was something that Coach Doug Yule was worried about. He was saying that I got these juniors who are playing like juniors. They need to be playing like rising seniors.
Right.
The season's almost over. They've played a full season. They should be playing like they've been there. And when the district tournament comes, they got Herndon, that big Herndon staring, they're looking right up at Herndon, so there's going to be a problem there.
Well, Herndon has been brought down a notch this past week during this re-airing of this show last week when I was talking about how there was no way Edison would beat Herndon. Edison beat Herndon. That snapped a 31-game winning streak that spanned over about 2 years since Scotty Reynolds was a junior. 31 games against the Northern Region that Oakton went undefeated. And so finally that was snapped by Edison. And when we get to Edison's district, you will get a chance to hear me eat my words, Edison fans. Hang on with us here, guys. Let's move right in, though, into the Liberty District's girls' standings. We're going to talk all about who's making a push in the Liberty District. And as you can see from our graphic here, Marshall right up at the top, making a push consistent. They've consistently climbed all season right to the top. 15-4 overall. They share that overall record with Madison, but they have a 10-1 record, which is better than Madison, a team that Marshall beat and started a 2-game in-district losing streak for the Warhawks, who are now 9-2. Stonebridge 6-5, McLean 6-5, Woodson 6-5. That's going to be a tight race right there in the middle of the pack. 5-6 Langley, South Lakes at 2-9, and Jefferson's still looking for their first district win. Let's talk about the Madison girls. They've lost 2 games in the district. They bounced back with a 20-point win over McLean. That was something that they needed to get back on track. That's a team that upset Oakton in the Northern Region Tournament last year to end Oakton's 25-game winning streak, and they're struggling in the district. I don't understand that per se. At this point, Madison's usually a team that gets better throughout their district play. One of their losses, Paul, was to Stonebridge, and there's quite the bright spot at Stonebridge right now.
Stonebridge, the 46-38 win over Madison. One half of the Stonebridge upsetting Madison, as the boys did it also. We'll talk about that later. But recently, Marianne Bell scored 11 points to become the all-time leading scorer at Stonebridge with 860 points. And earlier in the season, she claimed the rebounding title with 576 points. Wow. Obviously, Marianne Bell is a baller, and she knows how to score the points and get the rebounds. So it's great to see her get an accomplishment like that.
Absolutely, and she's going to be a player that you have to watch out for in the Liberty District Tournament. Speaking of players to watch out for, John, in the District Tournament, let's talk about Marshall's Nicole Harrison. You saw her live in person on Friday.
Nicole Harrison on Friday night against Woodson dropped 27 points, had 8 rebounds, several steals. She was the difference maker in that game. Woodson jumped out to a quick lead early in the first quarter. Marshall battled back, was up 28-25 at the half, led for most of the second half aside from a 38-38 tie with about 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. They just ran away with it. They have 3 players, 6 feet 2 inches or taller. All 3 of them average 6 points or less. Their head coach said it's a luxury to have them. Woodson, they've now lost 2 in a row. McLean Marshall, they lost last night to Stonebridge. I know you said it's a battle in the middle of the pack. I think they're done. I don't see them bouncing back this season.
Well, hey, be careful of predictions because those are the types of predictions that get you in trouble here on the Fairfax Sports Report from our great fan base. Speaking of fan base, McLean and Langley have fan bases that are second to none right now, and they've got to be just a little bit perplexed as to what's going on with their girls' basketball teams. Both of them struggling a little bit. McLean bouncing back, Langley almost losing to South Lakes, which has been a difficult program for the last couple of years, girls-wise at least, in the Liberty District. Langley barely getting that victory, so doesn't look too good for the Saxons, although they're a young team, so look for them to make some pushes later, not this year, but possibly next year. They've got a great freshman over there in Kristen Cody, who I think is going to make some noise here, and I think she'll be one of the most heavily recruited girls out of the northern region, and when her time comes around, look out for a gritty junior over there, though, and Kelly Germain at Langley, where that girl can just play every sport. Let's talk about the Patriot District and the girls' standings in the Patriot District, John. T.C. Williams in the middle of the pack, but they got a blessing back. If you look at who they got back, we'll tell our folks at home who they got back, but West Springfield right up at the top, John.
Patriot District is where great ball is being played right now. West Springfield sits atop the district standings. They are 10-1. 14-3 overall. They play Lee on Friday night. Lee is 9-2 in district play, 13-2 overall. If West Springfield wins that game, they capture the regular season Patriot District title. South County is third, 7-2 in district play. T.C. Williams, they're fourth, 6-4 in district play. They did get that big player back there. We're going to talk about that. Hayfield sits there. They are 4-6 in district play. Annandale, 4-7. Lake Braddock is 3-6, and West Potomac still looking for that first district to win at 0-9.
Okay, John, you were seeing some Patriot District basketball last night, and you got a chance to interview West Springfield coach Billy Gibson. What did Billy Gibson have to say about his Spartans right up at the top of the Patriot District?
Billy Gibson, he's a confident guy, and you can tell. I mean, they were down to South County 11-2. Over a 15-minute stretch from the second to third quarter, they give up 6 points. After the game, he talked about defense. That's what we play. That is definitely how West Springfield is going to win basketball games. They beat Annandale last week as well. They went on a 15-0 run the last 5 minutes of the game. They can put the clamps down on you when they want to. They force lots of turnovers. South County had 20 of them. They're just a complete defensive basketball team.
Okay, they've got some stars over there at West Springfield, but so does South County. 3 girls that have the potential to play Division I, 2 of them already going to Division I, and Brittany Carlock may not be far behind. 13 of 15 games, John, they've won. Going into their next game, that's a pretty significant stat. They've won 13 of 15, and right now they've got a great overall record.
13 of 15 is an amazing trend. They're 7-3 in district play after their one loss that they had the other night. Their one problem is those 2 losses were to West Springfield. In both those games against West Springfield, they shot under 30% from the field. In both those games, Brittany Carlock, the third scoring option, did not play well. She was 2 of 12 the other night. They must have 3 people score in double figures. If they don't, they are going to seriously struggle to beat the good teams.
Well, and I think they're a good team. They're a team that we've backed for a while at the Connection newspapers, just in what we think in our Elite 8 poll. We had them ranked high at the beginning of the year. They fell off the poll. Now they're back. Laren Robinson and Lauren Reinschuttle playing very well, and Brittany Carlock, I think, plays well as too. So those three right there could be the trio you're talking about. Let's talk a little bit about Lee, though. They're back in the title picture, or no?
Lee's back. They've won 5 in a row, but here's the thing about their 5 wins. They're against Hayfield, Annandale, Lake Braddock, West Potomac, and TC Williams. 4 of the 5 teams are under 500. The win against TC is nice, but that was the first game that they had Tierra Ruff and Pratt back. So
Right.
TC was just getting back in the groove of things. They have a big game against West Springfield Friday night. You will see how much the Lancers have grown.
Okay, and TC has grown now that they've got Tierra Ruff and Pratt back. Tierra Ruff and Pratt just under 20 points, under her average when she came back in her first game. Last night, John, Tierra Ruff and Pratt, 34 points for a sophomore at TC Williams. This girl has a very bright future, and after Jasmine Thomas from Oakton and Darina Campbell from Edison move on, this is Tierra Ruff and Pratt's playground for the next 2 years, so that's going to be interesting to see her develop. Let's talk a little bit about the National Boys, and you Edison fans, stay tuned. Let's talk about these National Boys, John. Who's where in the National District?
National Boys standings, Edison sits atop there, 8-1 in district play, 16-3 overall. They play Yorktown on Friday night. If they win that one, they claim the regular season National District crown. Wakefield is second, 7-3 in district play, 16-3 overall. Yorktown is third, 6-3 in district play, 12-7 overall. Wakefield just lost to Yorktown the other night. Mount Vernon is fourth. They are 4-2 in district play, 10-4 overall. Washington and Lee, Stewart, and Falls Church round out the bottom 3.
Okay, guys. Let's talk a little bit about the Edison Eagles. The Edison Eagles that we at the Fairfax Sports Network respect, love, and admire. And we know that they can beat the Herndon Hornets because the Edison Eagles have earned their respect. I said on this show last week, or the last time we aired this show last week, that there was no way, I don't know what my exact words were, John.
I think it was no way.
I think it was either no way or it was something like stop the presses or
It was
pretty rough.
pompous.
Yeah.
It was very
Pretty
pompous
pompous.
and full of yourself.
Yes, pretty pompous and full of myself. A great description, one that the Eagles fans at home right now are loving. You can log on to our website at www.fairfaxsportsnetwork.com. You can see my personal apology right on the website. I promised that if Edison beat Herndon, that I would personally apologize to the Edison basketball team and the Edison fans, school administration, and anyone that lives within 10 blocks of Edison. We'll throw you in there too. Edison has changed my mind. As you can see, they're ranked on our Elite 8 poll. Let's throw my apology, though, up on the screen. I want to make sure that this apology gets its play with our Edison Eagles fans. To the Edison Eagles basketball team, I, BJ Kubarula, senior sports editor of the Connection newspapers and broadcaster with the Fairfax Sports Network, would like to extend my sincere apology for stating that Edison had no shot, that was the phrase, no shot, had no shot at beating Herndon on the last episode of the Fairfax Sports Report. As promised, Paul Frummelt, as I promised on that episode,
You did.
I stated that I would personally apologize to Edison's players and coaching staff, and we've since thrown in anyone that lives within 10 blocks of
10
Edison.
blocks, uh-huh.
Make it 15.
If the Eagles were able to beat the Hornets in their Wednesday, January 24th showdown.
And what happened?
But that's not all, guys. That's not all. Here, by sentence, Edison, which won a 63-60 decision over Herndon on Wednesday, broke Herndon's, here's the impressive part, nearly 2-year undefeated streak against Northern Region opponents. They earned the respect that they were searching for, and the most important part, they shut me up.
Ooh, God bless.
I am truly embarrassed, and I will promise to walk with my head down for the rest of the week. True to my word, here is my apology. And I wish you the best of luck throughout the duration of this season. I'd like to leave this up there so that all of you Eagles fans can see my email. You can write that down on screen right now. I'll walk you through this. Grab a pen and paper. You're doing it now. You're walking over. You're grabbing that pen. You're grabbing that paper. Let's write this down together. BJK at connectionnewspapers.com. Now, Connection Newspapers is all one word.
Please get the
And
email
it's plural,
right.
has an S on the end. You can email me your thoughts and comments about my thoughts and comments. So wanted to extend my apology, as promised, guys, man, true to my word. Don't ever say a man in a pink shirt tells a lie. As true to my word, there is my apology, Edison Eagles basketball fans. Let's bring it back, though, John. Let's get serious about these Edison Eagles because they do deserve respect. And I've certainly learned that the hard way about the Eagles, but they are a team to be reckoned with.
All kidding aside, Edison can ball. They won at Herndon and at Wakefield. Two teams that we had last week in our Connection newspapers in the top 3, Wakefield 3rd, Herndon 1st. When you win at somebody's house, that is an impressive win. I don't care where it is at. They have a core group of players.
Especially at the Hornets' Nest. That's not an easy place to win.
Don't forget to email them, guys. They have a core group of players in Brian Stokes, Kendall Wallace, Jameer Davis, Tim Ellison, Grant Barrett. They go 5 strong. They have a bench with Miko Masics. They have a 7th that kind of rotates in and out. They go 6 deep. They are athletic. They can jump. They can score. Stokes, Ellison, and Davis all average around 14 points a game. They can flat out play basketball.
All right, my question is this. Now that they've upset Herndon, and you have to call that an upset, they bested Herndon at the free throw line 28-10. Then they went and they beat Wakefield. That's a heck of a ball club, too. So that's 2 legitimate wins. Do you call those upsets anymore now? Are they the team to beat? Obviously, T.C. Williams being where they are, but is Edison the big boy on the block now?
You call the Herndon win an upset because they hadn't beaten that top flight team until then. You call the Wakefield win a good win, possibly slight upset just because it was at Wakefield's home court. They won both those games, too, in the final minute, which is also another impressive thing to win on the road, top teams, final minute. They are a clutch basketball team. They're athletic. You can't call any losses from here on out an upset.
But is Edison getting enough love from the media? We didn't talk about them a lot on this show for the past couple of weeks. I know that several media outlets have not covered Edison to the fullest extent as they have on other teams in the region that are the popular teams. Mm-hmm. And we're guilty of it as well. But are they playing with a chip on their shoulder? I know you got a chance to talk with Coach Frank McMillan. Are they playing with that? Are they using that to kind of further their goals?
They're not using that at all. They're not playing with the chip on their shoulder. When I've talked to him before, he just says they're taking it one game at a time. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, they believe going into every game they're the best team in the region. They're laying it out on the line. As far as coverage-wise, we have been guilty of not covering them as much, but then at the same time, you need to win games. And they've won the games, so they've put up.
Well, here come the media outlets, including us. So we'll be around to see Edison. I think Edison's a dark horse in the Northern Region tournament. Mm-hmm. I still call them dark horse, even though they got those wins. I think now they're going to start kind of making that push. I think people will give them respect. And I think that, I don't want to say those wins will work against them, but I think kind of maybe the cat's out of the bag now, and everybody's going to have the bullseye on Edison. So let's see how Edison does with that. The Edison girls have been doing quite well with that, John, as we go into the district standings for the National District girls. Edison has just been running away with this thing.
Edison they are number 1 at the National District standings. They are 8-0, 17-1 overall. Nobody is even close to them. Yorktown, 8-1 in district play, 10-8 overall. They will not catch them. Making a bold statement. Sorry about that. Mount Vernon is 3rd. They are 6-4 in district play, 10-8 overall. Wakefield, 5-4 in district play, 9-9 overall. Falls Church, 3-4 in district play, 8-9 overall. Stewart and Washington Lee round out your National District standings.
All right, John, you got a chance to talk with Edison girls basketball coach Diane Lewis, who's now going to be practicing against Frank McMillan's boys team, as I read somewhere. They're going to start practicing against a boys team because the teams in their district won't even give them a run. You got a chance to talk to Coach Lewis, though, about Tamonica Brackens. Look, Darina Campbell gets a lot of love. Adria Crawford gets a lot of love. They got a lot of Division I kids on that team. Tamonica Brackens, though, is maybe one girl that doesn't get enough love.
Remember the name Tamonica Brackens?
I'll do that.
You do that. She's the defensive stopper on that team. If they happen to face T.C. Williams in the playoffs, she'll be guarding Tierra Ruffin Pratt. If they happen to face Oakton, she'll be facing Jasmine Thomas. She averages about 8 points a game, but she is considered the lockdown. Diane Lewis calls her the key ingredient needed to win a title.
Wow. The Dennis Rodman.
The Dennis Rodman. While talking to Brackens, she's a co-captain on the team. She didn't really start playing a lot until her junior year. She said she's surprised of how well she's doing. She had no expectations going in, didn't make varsity her freshman year, hardly played her sophomore year, but during that sophomore year, she was awarded the most improved player on the team. So she should have started getting some confidence since then. Was a big part of their team last year as a defensive stopper.
All right, her new name on this show, Rodman. Tamonica Rodman.
Okay.
Brackens. Mm-hmm. Let's move into the Concord District where we don't have any Dennis Rodmans. Well, we got a girl that plays like Jordan. I said it. She plays like Jordan. Let's get into those Concord District standings, and we'll tell you who we're talking about.
Obviously, we're talking about Jasmine Thomas, the great player from Oakton, the Jordan-esque player from Oakton. Oakton right now, 10-0 in the district, 19-1 overall. Westfield still there, 7-2, 14-5 overall, right behind Centerville at 6-4. Chantilly at 4-5. Herndon 3-6. Robinson 3-7. And Fairfax winless in the district, but 2-16 overall.
All right, guys, let's jump right into the Oakton-Robinson game, the Fairfax Sports Network's Game of the Week from this past week. Right now, if you go on to your little clicker, if you have your little clicker in front of you, don't turn us off, of course, but after this, go ahead and go to On Demand, and you can go to Local On Demand, Free Zone, in the Free Zone, of course, and you can watch the Oakton-Robinson game. I was there. I helped call the game. Got a great interview in that game with Johnny Hollywood Thomas, father of Oakton's Jasmine Thomas. And Jasmine Thomas is really on the brink of doing some great things state-wise in scoring. She passed Scotty Reynolds on Monday against Herndon. How fitting against Herndon, where Scotty played his ball. In career scoring, we've put together a list of boys and girls in the state's history and where Jasmine falls on that list. Jasmine, close your eyes because you're not allowed to see this. But Lakeisha Frett, right up at the top there with over 3,000 points, the girl that Phoebus just kind of let run wild in '93. They never pulled her out of any games. They just blew people away, and they let this girl go nuts. Stacy Irvin is a boy from Twin Springs from '94 to '97, 2,600 points. You see Odell Hodge, famous ODU player, and who's that right behind him? Katie Smirka Duffy, 1996 at Madison, 2,463 points scored by Katie Smirka Duffy. Went on to NC State and then went to Georgetown as well. Smirka Duffy still in this area teaching some camps to the young girls and the up-and-comers of basketball, part of our Connection newspaper's 100 Greatest from the summer. You can see that on our website. But look further down there, highlighted, Jasmine Thomas, 2,334 points. She scored 34 points in the win over Herndon, and with her 7th point, she passed McDonald's All-American Scotty Reynolds right there at the bottom with 2,306 points. Scotty played at Herndon from '02 to '06, currently at Villanova and on SportsCenter every night. Jasmine Thomas, not far behind, she will be joining Scotty on SportsCenter when she goes to Duke next year. 2,334 points. Now, in the next couple of games, if she continues to hit her average, which is just over 27 points a game, you can see how quickly she'll leapfrog all these people and jumping into contention with Katie Smirka Duffy. And I believe that, I know for a fact that Katie Smirka Duffy is the highest scorer in the history of the Northern region, as you can see there. Jasmine Thomas, boys or girls, no matter who you are, boys or girls, Jasmine Thomas has the potential to be the leading scorer in the history of the Northern region. And you can see just how far behind she is. So, Jasmine, you're allowed to open your eyes now because you're not allowed to see that stuff because we know you don't focus on that stuff. All right, guys, we've talked about Jasmine, what she's capable of. Saw them on Friday. Ashley Abed, also a heck of a force over there at Oakton High School. Let's talk a little bit, though, about Robinson, John. There's a girl over at Robinson named Caitlin Henry that's really making some noise, and I like what Caitlin Henry did on Friday. She kind of traded blows with Jasmine in the 4th quarter, and Robinson has played Oakton closer than any team in the Northern region besides Westfield.
Caitlin Henry, she's the glue that holds that team together. She's a senior captain. They've battled Oakton very tough. You've mentioned that, and they've only lost to them by a handful of points, closest of anybody else in the region. They seem to struggle a little bit against some of the other teams in the region. But Caitlin Henry, she's averaging double digits for the year. And you mentioned that Coach T.J. Dade, in your interview with him, she's kind of been struggling the last couple of games. She's weighing that college decision on her mind, so that's affected her play a little bit. But watch out for Caitlin come district playoff time.
All right, and there's some girls that you got to watch out for when you're talking about Pat Deegan's Westfield team. There's a trio over there. Paul, tell us about these girls.
The tri-captains for the Bulldogs.
I like it.
Josephine McLean, Rachel Dahl, and Amanda O'Neill. All 3 players are huge players for the Bulldogs. Most teams would want one of them. There's 3 of them over at Westfield. You got Josephine McLean, scored 11 and 13 points last 2 games. Rachel Dahl, 8 and 8, a huge outside 3-point threat. And Amanda O'Neill, 14 points and 7 points. These 3 players are the Westfield Bulldogs, and they are definitely making a run. 7-2, 14-5 overall. They've won 6 out of 7. That one loss coming to Oakton. So they're definitely a team to contend with, and these players are definitely the reason why.
I saw them play Oakton before the break before the Christmas break, and I love what I see out of Josephine McClain. She is that type of player that, and similar to Ashley Abed over at Oakton, where they can put her inside, they can put her outside, she can hit the three, she can hit the elbow jump shot, and you don't see a lot of jump shooting in high school basketball, boys or girls. And this girl has range. I think she's quite the player, and I think they're gonna see some good things from her come tournament time.
She can score anywhere on the court, and that's why she's such a threat. She's inside post player, hit up, get rebounds, put backs, and she can hit that three just like Rachel Dahl. Those two are great three-point threats.
Dahl learning the three from her dad over there?
Of course.
Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit, John, about the Liberty District's boys standings. Paul, I think you're going to run us through those district standings. Who's sitting where for the Liberty District boys?
Well, we see Woodson there right at the top at 12-6 overall. And 12-6 overall, 9-2 in the district. South Lakes, 9-2 in the district, 13-5 overall. Madison, 8-3, 14-5 overall. Those three teams fighting for the top spot in the district. Langley at 7-4 in the district, 10-8 overall. Stonebridge made some noise that win with a win over Madison, 5-6 in the district, 9-8 overall. McLean at 4-7, Marshall at 2-9, and Jefferson at 0-11.
And before we get rid of that graphic, just want to let the folks know it's a bit of a tighter race than our graphic shows. My mistake in getting that prepared. It's actually a 9-2 district record for Woodson, so it's not a 12-6 district record for Woodson. It is 9-2, so that is a bit of a closer race. And speaking of close races, Paul, let's talk a little bit about Madison and Stonebridge. Heck of a ball game. Heck of a football game, Paul.
People that know this show know we love the Stonebridge football team, and especially quarterback Terrence Glenn and running back Wailu Brown. Now, these players are also on the basketball team. They were down by 49-50 against Madison. 2.8 seconds left. They get the ball at the baseline. Guess who gets the ball? Terrence Glenn. They run a play where they have Wailu make 3 cuts and have 3 screens. Basically, as Coach Sonny Green said, right out of the Stonebridge football playbook. Brown makes that cut, runs down the left sideline. Glenn hits him perfectly in stride, a full court basketball pass. Brown catches it, puts it in for the lay-in with 2.8 seconds left to win the game. Coach Green obviously was ecstatic about his team beating Madison. They have beaten every single Liberty District team except for Woodson, who they lost to recently, and McLean, who they will see again later this year.
So a little running back football action, a little quarterback to running back, a Glenn going to Rhode Island. And you wrote a story recently about Devin Brown. You can catch that story on the ConnectionNewspapers.com, going to Wake Forest.
Strangely enough, he will be going to Wake Forest, and they're going to turn him into a wide receiver. So we already know he can catch a pass, just change the ball and he'll be fine.
And the Demon Deacons, he'll be joining Lucas Caparelli, former all-region running back here from Robinson High School, and Chip Vaughn, also former Robinson football player at the Demon Deacons. All those guys
ACC champs.
Right, the heck of a football club over there, and Devin Brown definitely showing already, Paul, like you said. He's got the skills to be a receiver. Speaking of skills, John Marcario, you seem to think that Woodson has the skills to be the Liberty District champion.
I've been saying it for 3 weeks. You and me have a philosophical difference between them and South Lakes.
No. I wouldn't call it philosophical. I would say that I am correct and you are wrong.
Please make a bold statement.
Well, yes.
I don't want to make any more apologies,
Right.
okay? But really, talk about Woodson. I mean, is Woodson capable of winning a title?
They are capable. They had a bad loss a week and a half ago to a McLean team that you just cannot lose to if you're trying to become district champs. They were up a game on South Lakes prior to that. They've been tied since then. They whipped up on Stonebridge last night. South Lakes and Woodson play Friday night at Woodson. Basically, the winner of that game has a heavy hand of winning the district crown because Woodson ends the year playing Madison. It'll be a game.
It'll definitely be a game, and I think that's the game to watch in the Liberty District. South Lakes, Woodson, Friday night. Our game of the week will be at Lake Braddock and TC, but the game to watch in the Liberty District, in the district that I've been saying all year is the most fun to cover because they're so strong up and down. And a team like McLean can come in with Tarek Amori, like we've mentioned on this show, and we saw him on the Game of the Week versus Langley. Tarek Amori balls it up against Woodson, and those guys have a heck of a game, and they go and they beat a Woodson team, yet they lose to a Stonebridge team. So they struggle against a Stonebridge team. So it's kind of, who's where? You don't know, but that's why it's fun. Madison, a team that started out hot, has struggled. Of course, they've been without Rich Conlon, who suffered an injury. Rich Conlon, a forward, a senior forward, and also a baseball player at Madison, suffered an injury to his shoulder. So not something that Coach Pudge Jorman wants to see Conlon going through before baseball season, but Coach Chris Kublank gets him back, and they get a victory last night. Conlon hurt his AC joint in his shoulder, and now he's back. They lost without him against Stonebridge, so I wonder how you weigh that Stonebridge win, but you never know. With the streaky kind of shooting that Madison has done this year, 0 for 18 from the three-point line in a span of 2 games, and they lost one of those games against Langley. They'll get a chance to claim that respect back, though, when they meet Langley on Friday, John, and a guy that you seem to like his play from Langley, Ryan Davenport.
Ryan Davenport is just a flat-out baller. He's dropped, since his 40-point performance against Woodson, he's had 20 points a couple of games in a row. The kid just keeps on putting up points consistently on a game-by-game basis.
And I got a chance to talk to Davenport and 2 players after the McLean victory, Kevin Brown and Barrett Hunter. Hunter's only a sophomore. Brown's also a senior. It's not as much of a one-man show as you might think it is over there at Langley High School. Those 2 guys really add some relief. I like starting guard Daniel Bergameska as well. He can really mix it up. He's a gritty player. Really like what Coach Travis Hess is doing over there at Langley High School. Let's show you the Connection Newspaper's Elite 8 poll before we get going here. Let's give the folks at home one more time. Why don't you take it away, Paul Frummel?
Okay, as we see, Edison in the girls, number 1, 32 votes. Previously, number 1. As you can see, last week, almost exactly like this week, except for a change at the bottom. Oakton at number 2, West Springfield at number 3. Marshall with 21 votes, number 4. Westfield and South County tied with 13 votes. Lee at number 7, previously number 8. Madison at number 8, previously number 7. The only switch in the poll this week.
All right, let's move it into the boys' Connection Newspapers Elite 8. Right there at number 7. We grazed over this in our Game of the Week preview. Of course, it'll be number 1 versus number 7. But, John, a bit of a news coming out of Lake Braddock this week.
Lake Braddock starting point guard Dominic Moore will be out for the next 3 weeks. He hurt his ankle with a high ankle sprain against Lee a game ago. His estimated return date, it would be the District State Championship game. It's going to be
State Championship.
yeah.
That's a heck of a championship.
It's called the McHale Championship. He made it
The
up.
district meet.
The district
tournament.
meet, the district tournament. It's going to be tough for them to beat TC without him. They have a freshman starting in his place right now, Ryan Curtis. He scored 9 points in a game earlier this year, so we're going to have to wait and see.
Well, we'll wait and see, and we'll see on Friday night the Cox game, the FSN Game of the Week, TC number 1 versus number 7 Lake Braddock. The FSN Game of the Week, Northern Region Basketball Boys Action, TC Williams at Lake Braddock. All these games are available on Cox Digital On Demand. You can check our website for details as to how to see those games and when they're on and replayed on Cox. All right, guys. So before we get going here, though, we do this every show, and let's do it again. Right now, we've been picking district dark horses. Let's pick our region dark horses. And for boys, I'm going to throw my dark horse out there. I don't know how much of a dark horse you can call them right now, but I would watch out for South Lakes. I just got to throw that out there. I'm a big South Lakes guy. I think they're going to do really well in the district tournament, and there's not enough can be said about Wendell Bird's last year, and he'll be playing in his final home game next Tuesday against Madison. Any of you folks that have been big Northern Region basketball fans for over the last 22 years or any time of that, get out there and go see Coach Wendell Bird in his last home game at South Lakes. So I'm taking South Lakes as my region dark horse. Paul, your region dark horse, boys or girls?
Okay, I'm taking Westfield boys. They have a game against Fairfax, Herndon, then Chantilly. They win out. They win the Concord District with a full head of steam. I think they have a great shot behind Maurice Hubbard, Josh Whitmer. I think they're a great team.
John?
I'm going to go with Edison. Not trying to jump on the bandwagon. It's just they have.
Oh, yeah, you're jumping on hard.
They have 3 games left against Yorktown Stewart Falls Church. They get by in the first round of their tournament, play a second-round home game. That means they're automatically into the regional tournament. They've got the 5 core players. They can jump, they can ball. I'm going to go with Edison.
All right, guys, so you've got the Fairfax Sports Report's expertise on the dark horses, guys. You've seen it all here today. You got TC Williams boys coach Ivan Thomas joined us. You saw my personal apology to the Edison Eagles fans, which is still available on our website. And you got all the action from swimming to boys and girls basketball and, of course, our Elite 8 poll from the Connection newspapers. Let's thank the folks that make this show possible. But before we do that, we want to tell you about the FSN Game of the Week. TC Williams at Lake Braddock, available Cox Digital on demand. The FSN Game of the Week coming soon, as we mentioned earlier, will be the Northern Region Swimming Championship. You can go to fairfaxsportsnetwork.com to check out the details as to when and where that will be played. The FSN Game of the Week. This re-airs on Channel 10 this week. McLean at Langley boys basketball. This was taped on January 19th. That's boys basketball taped on 19th of January. This was a sold-out crowd by halftime of the girls' game. Hey, we're on the web, www.fairfaxsportsnetwork.com. You can go see Paul Frummelt's beautiful photo gallery for all the ladies out there, Paul.
Very subtle non-nudes, though.
Yeah, I hear that you are getting quite the following.
Of course.
CCI Screen Printing, 703-978-0257. And, of course, Quality Care Ford Service Center. That's one of our teammates at 703-383-6299. I'm your host, BJ Kubaroulas, Paul Frummelt, John Marcario, all of us of the Connection newspapers. Thanks for joining us here on the Fairfax Sports Report. And, of course, think pink. Think pink. Well done.
Bye-bye.
Well done.